Good morning, friends. Ash, WAT News here with more election updates. I wanted to start with this story that is breaking out of Arizona, Maricopa County. This is out of AZ Central. Jen Fifield and Uriel J. Garcia. Investigators seized devices from Fountain Hills residents in voter data theft case. Law enforcement officials served a search warrant at the home of a Fountain Hills man and seized computers, hard drives, and other storage devices as part of an investigation into voter data theft from the Maricopa County Recorder's Office website. The property was seized on November the 5th. The search warrant sought records relating to a computer intrusion or conspiracy to commit computer intrusion from October the 21st through early November. According to the warrant, investigators were looking for records, information, and communications related to the office's login credentials and accounts, voter registration and information, including protected voters' information, the transfer, sharing, or dissemination of voter registration records, and information including protected voters' information, unauthorized access to the office's website and computer systems, attempts or threats to damage computer systems. The Maricopa County IT security staff identified the intrusion, according to Megan Gilbertson, spokesperson for the office. And here's the search and seizure warrant, United States District Court for the District of Arizona. Fountain Hills, Arizona. Search and seizure warrant to any authorized law enforcement officer on application by a federal law enforcement officer or an attorney for the government requests the search of the following person or property located in the District of Arizona, as further described in Attachment A. You are commanded to execute this warrant on or before November the 18th, 2020. In the daytime, 6 a.m. to 10. So it appears that a warrant was served at a residence. It appears that evidence was seized from that possible evidence was seized from that residence, including hard drives and USBs. Analysis by county IT security staff indicates an unauthorized individual gathered publicly accessible voter information from the Maricopa County Recorder's Office website. Additional security controls were put in place to mitigate against this activity occurring in the future, Gilbertson said in a statement. The Maricopa County Recorder's Office has reported this to proper authorities and law enforcement personnel, and there is an ongoing investigation by the FBI at this time. The county is cooperating with the investigation, Gilbertson said. The property was seized from the residence of Elliot Kerwin, who identifies himself on LinkedIn as an information technology professional. Here's the warrant again. Kerwin could not immediately be reached for comment. The FBI did not confirm or deny the investigation and said the agency would have no further comment, according to a spokesperson. All right, so we got something going on in Maricopa. Possible suspicious activity. An individual was not arrested yet, but he has had certain things seized from his residence, including hard drives and USB drives. And the FBI is not confirming or denying, but if a warrant was served, somebody's investigating something about this person. We'll have to see how that plays out. I wanted to report on this article because if you remember, Governor Ducey has already signed off on the election in the state of Arizona. And he may have done so a little bit too quickly. I've also heard that he has retained a lawyer, and I'm going to try to find confirmation of that fact. But I heard a rumor through the rumor mills, if you will, that he has a lawyer now. I also wanted to cover this Georgia just a little bit more because it's starting to appear that certain players are coming out, like this lady here and her daughter. Crooked Georgia Elections Supervisor, this is from December the 4th, filmed pulling out suitcases of ballots from beneath table is identified as Ruby's daughter. So the woman on the left is Ruby, who people have already spoken about and seen in the video, and this is her daughter, who was allegedly shown giving a USB drive to somebody. Ruby Freeman and daughter and election supervisor Andrea Shea Moss. Earlier on Thursday, Christina Layla reported on the explosive video that was revealed during the Georgia ballot counting at the State Farm Arena, where crooked Democrats pulled out suitcases full of ballots and began counting those ballots without election monitors in the room. Trump's legal team showed a video from the State Farm Arena Tabulation Center when poll workers were told to leave at 10:25 p.m. A few workers stayed behind and were seen pulling suitcases full of ballots out from under tables to be tabulated. Oh, this reminds me of one other thing. In the statement, I believe that in the article that I covered from Geller Report yesterday, I don't know if it was the Secretary of State, but one of those people whose memo was, it said in the end of the memo that one way that the recount could be changed, in other words, votes could be put back in the system, is if it was shown that votes were tabulated more than once. And so I believe that allegation came out about this particular lady, Ruby, that the allegation was that she was also seen at one point on this video running the same ballots through again. So if that is the case, then that would be one of the things in the Georgia state, I believe in the Georgia rules, that if an audit is being done or a recount, then and something is discovered like that, where votes are found to have been added in illegally or double counted in the system, that is one of the ways that can trigger a change in the actual count. Let me go look at that up real quick because I want to make sure I got that right. I know it's from Geller Report. Hang on a second, guys, and hang on with me here. It's important to get that part right because that would be a key thing that was in that particular memo, and it's in the article, so I know where to find it once I go find it. Okay, so here's the article using sequestered dominion stuff. Let me just get back into this. I know exactly where it is. It's down here in the links. Chris Harvey's memo instructed counties to certify. Was that it? Let's see if this is it. So this is official election bulletin, November 16, 2020. County election officials and county registrars. Chris Harvey, Elections Division Director. Certifying November 3rd, 2020 elections. Okay, I think it's in this bottom part here. Let's just read back. The risk limiting audit was always designed to confirm the results of the election, and though this was the most in-depth audit possible, the results that were being confirmed were generated through and produced through the voting system election management system, EMS, and therefore should be the certified results. But see, I don't understand, because the article says you put the whole results through ARLO, ARLO, which is a separate system. In other words, the vote shouldn't have gone in ARLO. It should have gone through the election management system. I'm assuming straight that they're using in the state, straight to their voting center, tabulation center, whatever they're using, right, where the main count's going on or the counts are going on. It shouldn't go through ARLO and then each county be told what their electronic, count is at the end. It seems like ARLO is the issue, but so here's the part. The results that were being confirmed were generated to and produced through the voting system election management system, EMS, and therefore should be the certified results. An exception, however, would be if the audit revealed that there were ballots that were either not counted or not uploaded to the final results. Then those results should be amended to the EMS totals, and, if necessary, those totals would need to be recertified by the election superintendent. Likewise, if the audit revealed that any ballots were erroneously scanned twice, then those results should be amended in EMS and in election night reporting, ENR. Though the RLA might show slight changes in totals, those changes are not the certified results. So I'm not sure what that means. So RLA might show slight changes in totals. Those changes are not the certified results. What if it shows not slight changes but more than slight changes? I mean, at what point does the result become in question, right? Because if Ruby did scan those more than once, and it's on film that she did. Then how many other ballots did that person scan are in question now? All right, I just wanted to get rid of that. I appreciate it. So it is possible that if they show that this person scanned the ballots more than once, it could change. Something could change there, right? Anyway, getting back to this. So we saw this video footage. We identified one of the operatives last night who was caught on video counting illegal ballots from a suitcase stashed under a table. As you can see from the video, one woman in a purple top was filmed helping pull out the ballots and then sitting down to count the ballots. That woman has now been identified. Local 11 News covered the story from the State Farm Arena that a pipe had burst. This later was proven to be a complete fraud and an excuse to kick out the GOP election observers. Let's see what this is, if it's a long one or not. It's not too long.
County has a history of voting issues, and despite careful preparations tonight, another one causing a long delay for people processing thousands of absentee ballots. Joe Hankey is at State Farm Arena. Joe, of all the times for a plumbing issue.
That is right, Cheryl. Early this morning, we were told there was a water main break above the room I'm standing in here at State Farm Arena. And right now they are counting the absentee ballots, but earlier today, because of that water main break, they lost about 2 hours of work on the absentee ballot processing. So they are trying to make up that time now. They currently are getting through the absentee ballots. All the ballots being processed behind me are the ballots that were received today by the 7 p.m. Fulton County deadline, or state deadline, for absentee ballots to be received by the counties. They currently don't have an estimate of when the absentee ballot counting will be done here in Fulton County, but as of 7:30, they still had 30,000 ballots, according to the county, to process. We're told, of course, they're going to go through every single one of those ballots, and once they're done counting them, then the absentee process will be complete. But the good news is no ballots or election-related machine were damaged by that water main break early this morning. Around Fulton County, 99% of the precincts, it was smooth sailing, very few delays, short lines around
There's
the county.
Ruby.
So that is the good news. And now they're on to the counting process, just a little delayed here in Fulton County tonight. Cheryl?
Okay. So I'm not sure about what's going. This is an interesting. One woman in the video is wearing a purple top. She later appeared in the suitcase video. That's her. She made a mistake and left her purse on her desk advertising her business. Her name is Ruby Freeman, and she made the mistake of advertising her purse on her desk the same night she was involved in voter fraud on a massive scale. Her t-shirt says Lady Ruby, and her purse says La Ruby, which is her company. So she was advertising her LinkedIn on this thing, and now they know who she is. Ruby's purse was a hit. So I read this before. I wanted to get into this part of it, which was third suspect from State Farm Center suitcase scandal, identified as Ralph Jones Sr., who was in the news for shady deal with the Atlanta Mayor Keisha Bottoms. And there's him on the camera there, and there's some ballots, looks like, on a table. We've reported numerous times on events in Georgia on election night at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. We've now uncovered more on that incident that exemplifies the 2020 election in Georgia. On election night, we were told that voting stopped in Georgia's State Farm Arena due to a water main break. President Trump was way ahead in the election at that time, but a couple days later we uncovered that the water main break never happened. First, an attorney in the Atlanta area asked for information related to the event via a Freedom of Information request, and he shared with us that the only item he received was a couple of text messages related to the event. After posting this, we found out that the water department in Atlanta never even received a call regarding the water main break. It was a scam. There's Ruby Freeman, there's Shay Moss. Next, it was uncovered that a mother and daughter team, Lucy Freeman and her daughter Shay Moss. Oh, wait, I thought that was Ruby. Oh, her name is Lucy Freeman. Okay, sorry. Lucy Freeman and her daughter Shay Ross, as well as a couple others, stuck around after sending everyone home and started running ballots through tabulators. Ballots were pulled out from under a table that were previously covered up and processed with no Republican observers. The mother-daughter team have become infamous in the annals of voter corruption. So that's them. On Sunday, we uncovered another observation of events that night. One of the other individuals who stuck around moved from his regular station and moved to another cube where he held numerous calls with someone as the ballot counting went on. Yakov Applebaum at the Illustrated Primer points out where this mysterious man in red placed himself. So this is November 3rd, CCTV composite view of the ballot counting room in Suite 604. Here's the table in question where the ballots were. 4 transport ballot boxes were stored hidden from sight. Ballots taken out of the tray by Shay and scanned by Ruby have already been processed and removed from the envelopes. Typical ballot pre-processing steps takes about 30 seconds. Take a ballot envelope, open the envelope, unfold the ballot and inspect it. Place the ballot flat on a pile for scanning. Cast of characters, 2 phone calls. The first at 10:58 p.m. triggers the removal of the ballot cases. So this guy allegedly gets a phone call at 10:58, which triggers the beginning of them removing the ballots from under the table. Box 1 at 11:02, Box 2 at 11:03, Box 3 at 11:03, 46 seconds, Box 4 11:04, 48 seconds. According to the composite, the man in red makes 2 phone calls on election night at 10:58 p.m., which then triggers the removal of the ballot cases from under the table covered in black material. Within a couple of minutes, 4 boxes of ballots are wheeled out from under the table. We now believe the man taking the calls and organizing the massive suitcase scandal that night is Ralph Jones. Ralph Jones is the registrations chief at Fulton County Government. See what we could see about him. This is his LinkedIn or something. Okay, I can't see anything here. I don't know. No info. Alright. There's his LinkedIn page. Ralph Jones, registration chief at Fulton County Government. He's got 17 connections. Registration chief. We have video of Ralph Jones taking time out to speak with Ruby Freeman while she was filmed counting ballots. Here's the video of Ralph and Ruby Freeman. Let's check this out. So there he is, talking with them both. Not sure what they're saying, it's hard to tell. Well, we'll have to see how this all plays out, guys. Why was this room cleared out, right, for a leak that never was really a leak? And were the people that were left in that room supervised in any way? Was there any Republican poll watcher in the room for those 2 hours or however long it was? And was the security footage at all tampered with, right? That's another thing that they should be looking into, because whoever owns this building, they need to make sure that this person didn't tamper with the security footage, right? Maybe delete certain parts of it or whatever. Well, we can't really tell what they're doing, but this looks like they're having a long conversation about something. Going back and forth. Are they planning about what they're going to do when the leak comes? I don't know. Are they planning how they're going to do it? I'm not sure. They seem to be always looking around to that other part of the room for some reason. Alright, well, I'm sure that they have his phone records. If they're watching the whole election, the military intelligence, which I'm assuming they did, so I'm assuming they know who he spoke to. So we'll see what happens with this man in red and Ruby and her daughter, and we'll see if they were involved in any wrongdoing or not. At this point we don't know that. There's an accusation that the daughter handed off a USB drive to someone, and that's on film that you could see that. So switching news, I just heard last night that Rudy Giuliani unfortunately has COVID-19. Says he is recovering quickly after being diagnosed, and says he feels well. So hopefully they can give him some HCl or something and get him back on track quick. I'm just wondering if somehow they didn't try to get this Rudy sick and get him out of the picture. It's just awfully interesting timing with that, right? Have to see about this whole thing. So I'm not sure how that will affect Trump's team. You know, it's that Rudy's a big part of it, so I'm sure he's going to be working still from his hospital bed in some aspect and still be involved. So hopefully get well soon, Rudy. We wish you well. Wish you a speedy recovery. Also wanted to cover this from the other day that I saw. Judge orders forensic audit of Dominion voting machines in Michigan. Now this is a big deal because the audit already went down yesterday, I believe, from the article I read. And they did an 8-hour audit of 22 Dominion machines in Michigan. The Trump campaign is celebrating a huge legal victory after Circuit Judge Kevin Eisenheimer said he would allow investigators to conduct a forensic examination of 22 Dominion voting machines used on Election Day in Antrim County, Michigan. And remember, this was the county where 6,000 votes were allegedly swapped from Trump to Biden. So that's why they were allowed into these 22 machines, because a machine in that county has already shown an irregularity. And now they're going to do the full audit on these 22. And I bet you anything, I got a feeling, right, that a couple of those 22 there's going to be an issue with. That's just my guess. You know, if they count them clean, I'll say I was wrong on that one. But I got a feeling that a couple of those machines something's going to be wrong with. Our team is going to be able to go in this morning at about 8:30, and we'll be there for about 8 hours to conduct that forensic examination, and we'll have the results in about 48 hours. And that'll tell us a lot about these machines, Trump election attorney Jenna Ellis told Fox News. So I believe that is going to be on Tuesday, tomorrow, at some point, that the results of that audit will come out, and that's a big deal. That could have a big deal in how Michigan ends up going down, in my view. Rudy Giuliani called the order a big win for honest elections. To the legal challenge is actually not related to the presidential election. Judge Eisenheimer's order stems from a challenge by a voter who claims that ballots were damaged during a recount of a village marijuana proposal that just barely passed. Antrim County infamously showed Joe Biden as the winner of the county before a human error was discovered and Trump was revealed the true winner of the county by several thousand votes. Lawsuits allege that nearly 300,000 votes were manipulated in Michigan. Dominion is, quote, is responsible for the injection of fabrication of 289,866 illegal votes in Michigan that must be disregarded, unquote, says expert witness Russell Ramsland Jr. So there we go, guys. Have to see how this all plays out with this audit. It's a big deal. If any of these other machines in the state of Michigan show a similar problem or algorithm in them like what is alleged to have happened now in Georgia with that machine in Ware County, then you have yourself a big problem. Then you have more evidence that other machines in the state have now been corrupted, and now you start to ask the question, do we have to look at every state where Dominion was in all the machines? Because if every time I look at these machines I'm finding an issue where it's not counting the votes clean, and it happens in multiple states, then that leads me to the logical conclusion that it could be in all the states that they use these machines, and we don't know that yet. But this audit in Michigan, I think, will show a lot to see if that's true or not, right? I just wanted to cover one more thing real quick. Benjamin Fulford report, December 7, 2020, entitled "It is Time to Rewrite the History Books as Liberty Dawns on Humanity." And again, guys, take everything that I say and everything that everybody says with a grain of salt, and do your own empirical research and your own logical research that you do and with sources that you trust yourself, right? I always say that to everybody. and I always take Fulford with a bit of a grain of salt. But I've noticed over time that he has some decent intel, and sometimes he's off in the way he looks at things, and as are anybody, right? So you take it all with a grain of salt. But let's check out Fulford. December 2020 will be remembered as when the tide of history decisively turned and an ancient evil force suffered defeat. The White Hats are winning the secret war for planet Earth, and the liberation of humanity is an imminent certainty. People will witness the confirmation of Donald Trump's decisive victory in the U.S. presidential election, and the movement toward forced vaccination in the U.S. will end. This turning of the tide will snowball, and people will watch history unfold as an ancient satanic ruling class is overthrown. The history books will have to be totally rewritten when the dust finally settles. However, as a victory for the good guys is gaining ground rapidly, the battle rages on, and the deep state swamp creatures are fighting to the death, knowing they are doomed. This week, we will not look deeply into the battle over the U.S. presidential election, because that has been thoroughly covered elsewhere. We will only say that our sources confirm Donald Trump has won his re-election by a landslide, and Joe Biden is about to enter the U.S. Witness Protection Program. We can also confirm the Swiss bank UBS sold the election-stealing Dominion voting machine maker to the Communist Chinese. This means the U.S. military and intelligence agencies will be hunting down and capturing for interrogation purposes many people, starting with UBS management and Davos World Forum Chairman Klaus Schwab. Arrests in the U.S. are already well underway, Pentagon sources confirm. If you want to know what Schwab's up to, there's a video link. See what Alberta Premier Jason Kenney has to say about him. There's a YouTube video. What Kenney does not say is that it is Schwab and his bosses who engineered the entire COVID-19 nightmare so they could reset, quote-unquote, the financial system in a way that leaves them in control. Arrests in the U.S. are already well underway, Pentagon sources confirm. Here's what our CIA sources had to say about the fate of former CIA Director Gina Haspel. Quote, she was definitely taken out, but not before she gave up what she thought was her get-out-of-jail-free pass of backup data that contains all black ops she oversaw during her tenure as director and earlier. The story going around that she was taken to Gitmo, debriefed, and will be given a new face, prints, and disappear from sight is another spin. She is gone, not to be heard from again. If anything more is needed from her, a CGI hologram is all it takes, unquote. While the contest for the constitutional republic is on course, another battle is now raging around the fake pandemic and plans to vaccinate the world's population with toxins. To understand this, take a look at the table below, sent by an alert reader of our newsletter. It compares the current COVID-19 campaign to the methods used by the Communist Chinese to brainwash American prisoners of war during the Korean War. I pulled that chart up on another page. I'll check it out right after this, guys. It shows how isolation, threats, constant fear propaganda, rewards for obedience, etc. are combined to cow people into total submission. It is obvious from this chart that what we are witnessing is an attempt to create a communist world government controlled by the Chinese and with the Khazarian mafia acting as their bankers. Moreover, the Communist Chinese themselves take orders from a secretive governing body in Switzerland. This is what's known in low whispered voices as the Octagon Group. This chart of corporate media control shows how these power structures work. So, the American Empire and its media, we have the Council on Foreign Relations, centerpiece, right? Established 1973. Oh, by the way, that's another article I forgot to cover. Trump made some major moves, and he got rid of Kissinger and Madeleine Albright were both dismissed from whatever post they have in one of these groups, right? They're out. And I don't know if they've been arrested or not. I heard rumors that they may have been, but we'll see. But so you can see the Bilderberg meetings are a big deal. By the way, guys, just real quick, if anybody wants to dig the Bilderbergs, if you go to the WikiLeaks big major dump that they did, which is wikileaks.org/file here, it's going to come up. This is all the WikiLeaks dump, and if you go down into this, you can find a bunch of the different Bilderberg meetings. Where were they? Hang on a second, guys. They had like a lot of years of the Bilderberg group meetings in there, and you could go look up like who was at them and stuff. Here it is. Bilderberg History 1956, Bilderberg Meeting Report 1957, 58, 62, 55. So if anybody is like a real like into digging like huge PDF files, you can like pull these up and you'll see like it comes up and you can see the whole conference, dude. You can check out who was there. These are confidential, stuff. So it's like pretty awesome that if you're interested in digging like huge files like this, I just don't have the time or the attention span to do it. But this is great how they show how all the news is connected and how all these people and stuff. So this is a great chart that shows a massive web of groups and press and people and these massive companies that own so much, right? And so you could start to see that we have to break up these corporate powers and get back to where we have much more open press, where it's spread out more and it's not corporatized. That's just my opinion on it, guys. Here's what MI6 has to say about the so-called COVID-19 crisis. Quote, "We see the creation of the public health emergency and the proposed responses or remedies as ordo ab chaos in stealth state capture at a global level." Order out of chaos, right, guys? We create a chaotic event and, hey, we come out with the way to fix it. Hey, we're the savior and the government will come in and save you, right? It's a classic scenario that's been replayed over and over again throughout history, unfortunately. So this is the pure military mind thinking and difficult for civilians to grasp because of the sheer scale and complexity of the theater. An intelligence dossier and analysis has been sent to the joint British and Irish Supreme Command of the Armed Forces, MI6 says. This is why a military response is now underway. Russian military, British military, and the Pentagon are now doing something. Unfortunately, I'm not part of this. If you register and you create an account, you can log in and get more. So that's just a little news from Fulford's angle. And this is the thing, what he was referencing is the Biderman report. The American people are now being subjected to communist coercive methods for eliciting individual compliance. By State of the Nation, November 29, 2020. And this shows report on communist coercive methods for eliciting individual compliance. Here's the chart. Communist coercive methods for eliciting individual compliance, 1956. Biderman report of 1956 and COVID-19. Isolation deprives an individual of social support, of his ability to resist, makes individual dependent upon the captor. Individual develops an intense concern with self. COVID-19 isolation, social distancing, isolation from loved ones, massive job loss, solitary confinement, semi-isolation, quarantines, containment camps. Monopolization of perception, fixes all attention upon immediate predicament. Yeah, you notice that? There's not much other news in the world, right? COVID-19 and the election, what else is going on? Not much. Fixes all attention upon immediate predicament, frustrates all actions not consistent with compliance, eliminates stimuli competing with those controlled by the captor. COVID-19, monopolization of perception, restrict your movement, create monotony, boredom, prevent gathering, meetings, concerts, sports, anything that makes you feel good, right? Can't even go to the gym. Dominate all media, the 24/7 censor information. Induce debility and exhaustion, weakens mental and physical ability to resist. People become worn out by tension and fear. Sure, it's the fear train, hitting you every day with it, right? That's why the news always starts with the violence first. Hit you right in the face with it. Knock you right on your ass, right? COVID-19, induced debility. Forced to stay at home, all media is negative, not permitted to exercise or socialize. But see, guys, here's where I'll tell you a little secret. And I know this from, watching things about people who are locked up in jail and stuff like that, right? You'll see a guy locked up in a, 7x8 cell, whatever it is. He's still working out. Because they can't stop you from doing push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, burpees, jogging in place, squats, right? The man can lock you in a small room, but if I got enough room to move around, I can work out. You don't need weights or a gym. So You find you find whatever movements and ways it is to get yourself right. And there's lots of things you could do with a small space. You could do yoga, you could do Tai Chi, you could do different movements, stretching and stuff like that too. So just good to know, guys. Threats. Cultivates anxiety and despair. Gives demands and consequences for non-compliance. Right? Seen that a lot. COVID-19. Threats and intimidation. Threaten to close business. Levy fines against your business, right? Predict extension of quarantine. Force vaccines. Create containment camps. Well, we're not there yet. Occasional indulgences. Provides motivation for compliance. Hinders adjustment to deprivation. Creates hope for change. Reduces resistance. This keeps people unsure of what is happening. Occasional indulgences with COVID allow reopening of some stores, services, let restaurants open but only at a certain capacity, increase more people allowed to gather, follow concessions with tougher rules. That's exactly what's really happening. This is insane. Demonstrate omnipotence, demonstrates futility of resistance, shows who is in charge, provides positive motivation for compliance. That was always the Borg's thing, right, in Star Trek. We are Borg, resistance is futile, right? Same thing. So I guess the Borg were communist or something. Demonstrate omnipotence, shut down entire economies across the world, create money out of nowhere, force dependency, develop total surveillance with nanochips and 5G. Degradation makes resistance seem worse than compliance, creates feelings of helplessness, creates fear of freedom, dependence upon captors. COVID-19, humiliation or degradation techniques, shame people who refuse masks, don't distance, make people stand on circles and between lines, make people stand outside and wait in queues, sanitation stations in every shop. Enforcing trivial demands, develops habit of compliance, demands made are illogical and contradictory. Rules on compliance may change, reinforces who is in control. COVID-19, enforcing trivial demands, family members must stand apart. Masks in home and even when having sex, random limits on people allowed to be together, sanitizers to be used over and over in a day. So there it is, guys. Is this a torture? Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty close to it. And your local governments are doing this to you in certain localities, like where I am in New York. We are being tortured in a big way. And they are closing all the small businesses and allowing only like Target and Whole Foods to stay open and be the big boys. And so, if I can go in Target and get my food, why can't I go in a smaller store and get my food, right? What's the difference? If you're letting 60 people in Target all over the place, right? What's the difference? So I appreciate you guys watching. I'll post all these links here, and you can go read through this document more, but it's kind of obvious what's going on here, right? And some of these tactics are definitely being used on the American and the world populace, and so we need to be aware of it. And we need to figure out the best way that we could stop it, and that's by us standing up together and saying we do not consent. That's just my opinion, and of course you're welcome to yours, friends. And with that, I wish you peace and love and have a wonderful day. This is Ash, WAT News, signing off.